way to the military warehouse had opened up. But the lowering temperature would be a problem. Although thankfully, a solution to that problem would be developed. There was a problem with workers in the military warehouse. The temperature, as it was at this point, was too low for it to be safe. I'm sure the leader of New London would say, just get on with it. But unlike him, I don't consider life to be worthless. And I had this disturbing thought that he would destroy everything that I built. And at this point, research on heaters was completed. Which meant now it was safer to work in the military warehouse. Next was the solution to the heating problem of Site 113. Braziers. It was time to gather steel from the military warehouse. Well, there were no mines. So that would need to be the primary source of steel. Although there was always room for improvement. As for the scouting, which was overdue, I might add, they were sent to a collapsed building to the southeast. The tents to be built were delayed because the gathering of steel was needed, and not just for additional braziers. Once the research was complete, and it could be adapted for our needs. The cookhouse was preparing food, and not a moment too soon, because people were growing hungry. The western gathering post was depleted of all resources. So anything that could be salvaged was salvaged. The braziers were researched. There would need to be just enough steel for heat to be around the homes that would most benefit from it. There wasn't enough coal spare for more than that. At least for the time being. Yes, I was afraid of this. They were sending over their sick children. How much had New London fallen apart since I left? Was Outpost 11 New London's leper colony? Had they not learned the lessons of Tesla City? Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. An expression that was clearly lost on the one now in charge of New London. One who sought to destroy everything that's I worked hard to keep together. And I doubted that he would be content. Yes, that's right. He wouldn't be content to just do that.
Time for rest.
He was always a problem. Even before things got quite bad for New London. Warmth would now be not a problem for those going back to their living spaces in between work shifts. Although additional medical facilities, well, one more, would not go amiss. It would be essential to satisfy the needs of all those that needed it. All those that New London, or at least the one in charge of it, decided that it would be best to transfer the problem to someone else. Someone that not say that. Not at this moment. You'll find out later on how bad this can get. Or did get, rather. And I hope the warning of this morality tale does not fall on deaf ears. More coal's being used than gathered, but it was only for 2 days. Once the temperature increased, the breezes could be put out until they're needed again. The collapsed building was reached in the middle of the night. A possible remains of a watchtower was found. After salvaging what they could, they moved on to a stone wall in the distance. The rest of that night was mostly uneventful. Besides that, the military warehouse would be worked on for its first full day on day 4. And what was discovered there would change the priorities of the mission that we were sent here to complete. While the resources were gathering and food was being awaited, the drawing boards were completed. As for what to have researched next, better medical care was considered the highest priority, all things considering. Steam cores in abundance were found within the military warehouse, so they weren't going to be running out. New London was quickly informed of this. So it was only a matter of time before they sent their reply. We expected it before the end of the day, as this was not something that they could easily ignore. Well, freeze me over. They wanted 2 steam cores, along with the rest of the shipments. New London imposed the emergency shift edicts, something that the former leader of Winterhome during its final days was apparently forced to write into law. I had the suspicion that I was sent here because, if it went wrong, they needed someone to blame. At this point, it was too early to tell if it was true or not. But it was a possibility that I couldn't easily ignore. Because I suffered no delusion that I had a few enemies in New London. Enemies that, if they had the opportunity to do so, they would destroy me. And I had this feeling that they, if they had their way, they would accomplish what the Great Storm could not. I had this idea that handcarts would be needed to gather resources a little faster. That would certainly be useful for gathering steam cores. They needed to be handled carefully. and so took the most time to gather. Well, that was the estimator. Sorry, the estimation at the time.
Work's over for today. Time to get some rest.
As for the stone wall, the scouts found wood and steel. What remained of a rail system, possibly. As for the decision of where to send the scouts next, they were recalled to Outpost 11, as those supplies were needed much sooner. It would also mean that the military warehouse could start gathering steam cores to fulfill New London's requirements. Because there would be enough steel to meet the quota. Plus a little more in case more is needed for other things.
To work. Let's get this shipment ready.
The imposition of edicts was likely only the beginning of the hardships that awaited Outpost 11. I knew that I would need to deal with this situation most carefully.